Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum. I was on mute and didn't know it.
No problem, brother.
How's your morning going?
So far, so good.
This is a good
I got
thing.
a we got a masjid business meeting today at 1 o'clock.
Okay.
I'm the acting treasurer.
You've been the acting treasurer now for a while. When are they going to go ahead and just swear you in as
I
permanent?
think I think they tricked me, you know. But anyway, so I got to give a monthly report, brother.
Okay. That's part of the gig, man.
It is.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Kalita.
I
Walaikum
want to say
assalam,
that
everyone. I just
that
came in
is
for study
Sister
al-Islam.
Kalila. Sister
Yes,
Kalila, right?
Yeah,
yes,
Kalila.
yes. I just came off studying al-Islam, and so it reminded me you have a meeting this morning, so others may come on too because they did announce about Graceline. It's just I think
Okay.
the timing. I'm in the Northeast, and I believe this is in the West, or the time is off an hour difference, I believe.
Oh, okay. Now, I guess it's Eastern for us, right? Everybody's out in Texas, Central Time.
You're in Texas. Oh, okay. So that's
Edward is in Texas. I'm in
oh,
I'm in North Carolina.
North Carolina. Yes.
I'm typing an email response to somebody, so I was a little quiet there, just trying to get my response correct. Somebody's out there trying to give away money and they contacted Graceline, so I thought I would respond to them and say, let's have a conversation. So, Adam, you may know more about this than I do. I have not dealt with the family office.
Family office.
Yeah, what they call a family office, which is really nothing more than you have a wealthy family that has a lot of members in the family. It could be children, grandchildren, whatever, and say both parents are still alive. So you're talking about distribution of assets, management of family investments, family business, stuff like that. So what they do really is kind of set up an umbrella called a family office that has within that umbrella a coordinated group of accountants, financial advisors, trust attorneys, so on and so forth. And they plan out basically an entire family future, including investments that a family is going to make. And some of those investments can be private. They plan out giving, like to nonprofits, charities, so on and so forth. And they do this. There might be a 10-year plan, there might be a 15-year plan, there might be a 20-year plan
Hmm.
for these family offices. And it's all integrated so that they can maximize their assets, reduce taxation all along the line, both estate taxes, but also just reduce the amount of taxes they're paying on an annual basis. All the giving, and Imam Talib touched on a little bit of that this morning on Study Al-Islam, is the lifetime giving programs
Hmm.
where you can start, start giving money to your kids, start giving money to your grandkids. I mean, nieces, nephews, whatever the case may be. I think it's $19,000 a year that you can give without question. There's no tax on it. I mean, if you have the money, you can give $19,000 a year to a family member or close associate, whatever, IRS doesn't look at that as long as it's not over $19,000. So, that's how these grandparents, they get a grandkid, they immediately set up an account with, say, I don't know, Chase, JP Morgan Chase, Merrill Lynch, whoever. And every year
Mhm.
they put a certain amount of money in that. It's tax free. So you get both sets of grandparents doing that, and then you get the parents doing that. You're socking away for like each child, say $60,000 a year from the time they're born.
Mm.
No tax consequences.
Yeah, yeah, I know even on the gift tax, just straight gift tax, there's a minimum you can give that doesn't qualify anyway. So
Well, that's the 19,000 I'm
yeah,
talking about.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
$19,000.
Okay.
So,
It
you
went up.
know,
It used to be a little less than that. It went up, I guess.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well,
What I don't know is when you're doing that, does it count against the estate tax exemption? And I need to research that to see if that counts against the 15, $15 million estate tax exemption. And that's just if I'm talking to somebody that's wealthy. I mean, most of us don't have to deal with that
well,
particular issue.
yeah, I don't. Yeah, definitely. I don't have any clients that even had to worry about that. But yeah, yeah.
Good information to know.
Yeah. I mean, I guess I want to say back in the 1940s, my grandfather, paternal grandfather, he was gifted some oil and gas royalties from some wealthy white men that he worked for in Panola County. I think he had one 1/64th. They gifted him like 1/64th of a group of wells, mostly natural gas wells that they had drilled in and around Panola County, Cherokee County, Texas. And, I mean, just to be an African American man and be a participant, however you got it, was kind of a big deal. And my grandfather was a pretty smart, pretty savvy businessman, farmer. And so they talked him into setting up just a basic trust because he lived very simply, didn't have a lot of wants. My grandmother, paternal grandmother, was the same way. Didn't have a tremendous amount of wants. They owned the land they lived on, owned their home, owned the vehicles, how people were back in those days. So there wasn't just a whole lot that they wanted. So he set up this trust and started putting money into it. And it's really funny because when I was born in 1956, I think that trust at that time was probably had over $200,000 in it. They'd never touched a penny of it. I don't even think, other than what, when he went to the bank or something and they told him what he had, that he ever thought about it. And I remember when I graduated from college, he had passed away, grandfather had passed away when I was in high school. So when I graduated from college, there was a clause in that any of his grandchildren who got a college education would receive a distribution. And man, you talk about a happy camper. I was so happy because I had no idea it was coming. Anyway, just one of my little stories from life.
Yeah, Imam Muhammad talked about our children don't think about us because we don't leave them nothing. I know you think about him a lot.
The main thing I think about him when I think about Grandpa is sitting at his breakfast table, which was also the dinner table, and eating pancakes with Brer Rabbit syrup which he loved some Brer Rabbit syrup.
Yeah.
And he would just sit there and stare into my eyes as I had
Yep.
breakfast, like he was looking dead into my
Oh,
soul,
Zamaya.
and he could read everything.
No, I haven't.
It was both the most warming thing, felt incredible warmth, but I felt this incredible intelligence from
Yeah,
him
yeah, definitely.
that he
I did this
knew
way early, but
he knew
figured on
everything
a Saturday, a
that I was thinking or doing or was going to do, that he could read me like that. And it was a little disconcerting at the same time when I knew how much he loved me. It's a strange feeling, but I just felt like he could see through me like that. Anyway, wow, we got a great crowd here. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, everyone.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Omar. It's glad to have you back. We've missed you a couple of weeks.
Wa alaikum assalam. How you?
I'm doing well, sir. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Um, Imam Talib, as usual, very informative presentation this morning on Study Al-Islam. I enjoyed that entire presentation.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Yes, sir. I was just took a call from Sister Fitra, and she was, I had mentioned that article I had read yesterday where Friday's IPO for SpaceX had generated 44,000 millionaires in a day. Based on his release of the IPO. I think it was at like $135 a share, and I think it closed somewhere around 165. And it piqued a lot of people's interest. And now I'm being asked whether or not we should be buying stock in SpaceX, to watch it grow like, the Apples did and the different other, products that we could purchase as Muslims. People don't want to miss that opportunity. So,
yeah, it's interesting. So I'm gonna go out on the limb here, and today is June 14th. The year's 2026 by the normal calendar. I need Sister Martha on here to tell me what it is on the Islamic calendar. But so June 14th, 2026. I'm going to state that 1 year from today, SpaceX, value of SpaceX stock is the value of it will be about 60% of what it is today.
I believe that. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the question now is, I think it closed at 165. How do we purchase it?
Just regular way you would purchase any stock. You can go through an online broker like Fidelity, Charles Schwab. Trying to think of some others because I use Fidelity. There are some others out there, but if you put in Fidelity and put in Fidelity competitors, you'll find a whole list of online brokers that you can go through. You just set up an account and tell them you want to, purchase whatever shares of whichever company that you want to, or any mutual fund or exchange traded fund or whatever. You can do that. So that's one way. It's traded on the NASDAQ. So any brokerage firm that has a connection with the NASDAQ, you can place a phone call, they'll buy the stock for you, set up an account for you. So buying the stock is easy.
Okay.
They want you to buy it. The people who own it, who have now made a bunch of money, their pockets are going to be itching pretty soon. There will be plenty for sale because they want to cash in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
They want to cash in as soon as they can.
Right.
because the hype is big, but the bag is light.
That's right. It is Elon Musk. So,
Yeah, I mean, it's part of it's cult of personality, but part of it's just pure mathematics.
mhm,
Um, if you look if you look at this particular company and you look at the percentage that it trades, the multiple that it trades over its actual cash flow,
mhm,
and then you look at a company like Apple, which has been around for a long time, and you look at the number that Apple trades above its cash flow, it's out of balance. The
mm,
whole thing is it's out of balance.
okay.
And it doesn't mean that SpaceX isn't a viable company,
I
that
understand.
they can't exist and perform and make money. It's just out of balance in relation to other companies that have a history
A longer
and
track record.
they're longer track record, they're profitable.
Hmm.
And so right now, it doesn't make sense to pay that multiple on SpaceX
Hmm.
unless you're one of those people that got into SpaceX as an investor when
Hmm.
it was basically valued at, say, 30 instead of 165 as it is now, right?
Hmm.
So if you're one of those people that bet on Elon Musk at the very beginning, you got some money, you got some mad money, you want to take a risk. Let me see what this guy can do
Right.
with this. You're
Right.
fine. You're
And
fine.
you talking about those people that invested before this public offering.
Oh yeah, these are people that invested years ago.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
They
Okay.
they invested years ago. There's an organization out there called Fundrise. From time to time, you guys will see me post
Right.
something on Fundrise. When Fundrise first started, they sold me. I got in. I'm in
Hmm.
on Fundrise. Fundrise goes through the roof once someday. Me or my boys or whatever, if I'm married, my wife's going to make a killing on it,
Hmm.
right? Because I bet on their idea, how they approach real estate, all of those things. So that'll be great.
Okay.
I
Yeah,
did
that
I did
was
that I
yeah.
did that with IBM back in the 1990s when they thought IBM was going to die.
So how many
And
years have you been with Fundrise?
I've been with Fundrise now, I want to say since I want to say maybe 2015,
Oh
2015,
man. Okay.
2016,
Oh yeah,
something like that.
you were there.
Yeah.
Okay. All
But
right.
the interesting thing about Fundrise for you guys that are investors and like real estate
Hmm.
is you could get into Fundrise as an investor in Fundrise for $10.
Right.
You can
Right.
make a $10 monthly contribution to Fundrise or just open an account with $10 and walk away.
Right.
Your dividends or your return on investment is the same as somebody that has $10 million in Fundrise.
Right.
You're gonna make money on your money.
And from what I read, at a minimum, you need to be prepared to leave it there for at least 5 years.
I would say so. If you really want to maximize
Hmm.
your investment because they're buying A properties, whether
Right.
those are commercial or residential properties. And when they buy residential, they're buying whole blocks. Like if
Right.
somebody does development where they create 250 homes,
Right.
Fundrise is buying all 250 properties,
Okay.
right?
Right.
And they're buying commercial properties, whether that's warehouse properties, manufacturing facilities. They're now buying these data centers and things of that nature. And the commercial properties are probably more long-term holds,
Hmm.
unless they just get an offer that they can't refuse for the investor
Right.
base, because they're trying to create an environment where you're making 9 to 15%
Hmm.
consistently every year.
Right. Right.
They're not trying to buy a C property and turn it into an A property and hit a grand slam,
Right.
that type of thing. They're doing buying nothing but quality properties,
Hmm.
making sure those properties are managed and maintenance well, So they hold their value, increase in value, as we see real estate typically does in the right environment. Real estate
Mhm.
increases in value. And if somebody makes them the right offer to take that off their hands, they'll take it. Otherwise, they'll just take the income from it.
Right. So let me ask this too as well. Um, and this is off the subject a little, but it's right on it. In fact, let me deal with what's right on it right now. I have uh, um, I've actually got a lot of articles that I want to post up to our website that I believe is going to be helpful to the membership and those other people that visit our site. Um, what mechanism are we using now to do that? Is there are
It's
we able?
it's pretty much it's the same. So the folks that have taken over whatever back office management of the website or whatever,
Okay.
you can use the same mechanism to get them to post or update,
Oh,
manage the
okay.
website as before.
What
Yeah.
what 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 is the what's their name again? Oh man.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
you're
that's all
about to
right.
ask it.
I'll search it. But
Okay.
here's what I wanted to mention. One of the articles I have in there that I wanted to post is that investors are buying up long-term care facilities.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
so and there's some others that I have in there on uh, um, uh, charity that's available for people with medical bills. I got another article on reverse mortgages, and I'm glad to see the one they did on reverse mortgages because they're not as bad as most people would have you think they are. And I've been telling people for years how to manage and control a reverse mortgage that the article speaks of as well. But there's another article I have on estate planning problems, what to do when you suddenly inherit money. Um, and those people, and I spoke about this today, those people who receive money and then blow it. And we're not talking just we're not talking with people that just may get 100, 200,000. We're talking people who may get 100, 200 million, and
Hmm.
they blow their inheritances, 90% of them within 2 to 3 generations. I mean, I can't even imagine, but I could, knowing that there are large groups of people out there that wouldn't know what to do with a lot of money, including amongst the rich, except to blow it. And
Yeah. This I sent you guys an email because when I was listening to your discussion, this is how an older person's mind works. And I'm almost 70, so I'm older but not old. So from the time I was like 25 years old till I was really 50 years old, I worked in what do you want to call it, investment financial planning industry.
mhm,
And a large part of that time I spent doing estate planning and business planning for business owners, wealthy families. There's some people in Atlanta who kind of look like most of us that I did their financial planning for them, including the mayor at that time, Maynard Jackson. So there was something that you said, and it was about income that made me go back and pull information on something called a Q-tip trust.
mhm.
And I sent you guys an email on it. And
Yeah, I
this is
saw that.
just this
I
some
saw it.
old
Yeah.
information that I have. And when I was thinking about the amount of marriage and remarriage that happens in the African American community, but it also happens in our community, our Islamic community. We have lots of discussions about that. And you have blended families. Is
Mhm.
if you have assets in a blended family, you're a wife and you have children and you just remarried, you own a business because this you said about business owners, entrepreneurs, as opposed to wage earners. Okay. So the wife owns a business. The husband works for the post office.
Right.
The wife has built up an asset base. Her business might be worth $500,000.
Mm-hmm.
She's got $300,000 in the bank, and she's got two kids. They're 14 and 17 years old. Now, in the United States of America, husband and wife married, they're going to have a will if they're intelligent. How does she construct her will to be able to make sure that she's doing right by her husband? And let's say they're Muslim, so we know what the percentage is that the husband's supposed to get of the wife's estate by Islamic law. And then what's supposed to happen with the children and all those things. So let's say that they've talked about all that. But let's say they never get around to executing a will.
Yes, sir.
Right? Or let's even say they do create a will, but they create a simple will.
Mm-hmm. It
Right?
doesn't take in all the complexities. Right. I understand.
All the complexities.
Right. Yeah.
Right. You want to take care of your spouse, but you also have a concern about taking care of your children.
Mm-hmm.
Not just today, but into the future.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I remember the first time I heard Q-tip trust. I was young, I was green. Man, it took me a while to get my head around it, but it makes a lot of sense. Is that you set up an income component for your spouse, that my assets, once, let's say you had to sell the business was sold, kids aren't old enough to run it, husband can't run it.
Right.
You sell the business, take the business worth, put that in a trust, put that money in a trust,
and then pay out.
it creates, let's say you got $600,000 in there, right?
Yep.
And it's gonna spin off, and let's just be conservative. It's gonna spin off 5% every year. So it's gonna spin off $30,000, to the surviving spouse. The rest of it stays intact. And then upon that particular spouse passing, those assets then go to the children. Right? And you pass those assets on to the children
incrementally.
Well, not only incrementally, because hopefully the surviving spouse is going to take care of the children, same household, all that stuff, make sure they're fed and clothed and all that type of thing. Right. And there are provisions that you can put in a Q-tip to make sure that actually happens.
Yeah,
right. Okay. But then the assets that you originally put in there, that basis that was set, that $600,000 that was set at the time that the trust was created, hasn't increased because you've actually, whatever interest that it earned, you spun that off back to the family. Right. So that basis has stayed the same. So when it actually does pass to the children,
I see what you're saying.
You don't have to worry about any excess taxation if that would have even been the case. Right. And nowadays that threshold is $15 million anyway. Pretty much before you have to start worrying about paying taxes. But
that's right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But the big thing for us, since most of us don't have to worry about the $15 million threshold, is just to make sure that we're showing love and consideration for the surviving spouse. But at the same time, you're making sure that the children ultimately are going to be taken care of, that inheritance of theirs is never going to be squandered.
Right.
It's protected by the trust.
Yes. Okay. All right. Well, once again, go ahead,
Michael, hold on one second, because all of our talking, we have not officially opened this morning. I want to ask Imam Tariq to officially open this up, and then Michael, you can ask your question. If Imam Tariq is away, Imam Adam, would you open us up this morning?
Yes. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين.
Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen. Alhamdulillah.
All right, Michael, I think you were
Yeah,
with your
thank
mic
you.
open.
Assalamu alaikum. I just want to make a comment. I'm seeing the Quran invites us to invest, you know, to take on an investment mind. Prophet Muhammad represents that to us as well. But creating a culture from debt culture to investment culture, I see as a, a focus of this organization. And Imam Omar, thank you for what you're doing. And Imam Talib, I really, really enjoyed your presentation. And I think uh, the seeds that you're planting, that this organization is planting, uh, is definitely going to bear fruit. Uh, uh, Not just a, what do you call it? Not just a credit union, but being a credit to the group, to the group. Thank you.
Yeah, Alhamdulillah. That was I'm glad you raised that because I wanted to let us know, for those who were not on the call today. I would tell you close to the last 10 minutes of my presentation was focused on raising up Graceline. So we are in, and I gave out the website address more than once. It was posted on the PowerPoint presentation, and I also mentioned it again, how to get in touch with us. And there were some, including Sister Fitra, who are going to visit visit the site. And I'm also going to be encouraging her to allow Graceline, if we're willing and able, to do the same sort of series, each month that she invited me to do every second Sunday of the month from January through June.
Outstanding.
Okay. And I'm letting us know that now. One of the reasons why I asked about how we go about improving on the website, giving me the opportunity to upload some of these articles for people to read, is based on having talked us up to her audience, which I would tell you every Sunday averages about 150 people or more. I think it was about that number that was on the program today. So I'm going to, encourage us to keep doing what it is that we're doing, to keep talking about these things. I mean, there hasn't been a Sunday that I haven't learned something, including today. I never ever heard of a Q-tip trust, but it makes a whole lot of sense. And I'm going to be looking into it more for other people that I think it's going to fit what their needs are. But I see us being more on the way now than we've ever been. And when I say this, I'm speaking of more about us moving forward with Graceline in the present. I'm not necessarily speaking of the credit union, but I'm speaking of us positioning ourselves to be that entity of trust, that the information that we're putting out to people is information that they can rely on. Because there's no other vehicle that I'm aware of that can position itself to specifically offer these different scenarios, different narratives, different opportunities for particularly those in our community to be able to move towards this area of financial freedom. One of the things that Sister Fitra mentioned that affected her personally was just the tidbit of information that I gave to the group that she's going to pass on to her own daughter. That many of us, I'm just going to use the word in quotes of suffer from, is when we get in our credit card bills and we look at the due date of that bill, we wait until the day before or the day of to actually pay the bill online, not recognizing that from the day you received that bill, on a daily basis, you were compounding interest on whatever was due. The point being, the day you get the bill, if you pay the bill, then the interest that you're compounding is going to be less whatever amount you've paid that day. I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, I could, at another point in time, I can break it down for you using some numbers. But if there was $1,000 balance on a credit card bill that was accruing 21% interest, that interest is accruing on a daily basis. So you get that $1,000 bill in. When that bill comes in, and instead of you waiting to pay the bill the day of or the day before it's due, let's say you had planned on giving $300 toward that bill. Pay that $300 that day. Because then from that point on, the interest that you're accruing is now on $700 and not the continuing $1,000. I hope I'm making sense, to those. I mean, maybe if you see it on a piece of paper, it would better compute. But that was one piece of information, and I think it's information like that, the information that Omar is giving up in these weekly sessions that he's doing is what's going to help our community, move forward. So
now I wonder, Imam Talib, I wonder if that's one of those pieces of information that credit card companies are now required to actually put front and center on the statement that they send out. I wonder, and in wondering that, I'm one of those people who no longer gets physical statements.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I get is an electronic statement,
Right.
and I pay the bill, right? I don't even look at the statement. So I wonder if
Oh,
that
okay.
particular piece of information is there so that it says interest accruing from the 15th of the month or interest accruing from the 20th of the month based on when the credit card statement comes to you or is actually live. So I wonder if it actually says that
What I
on
do
the credit
know,
card statement.
what I do know that it says, and I'll look at the fine print, but what I do know is legally required of all credit companies now is to show the holder, the credit card holder, what interest would be accrued if you only paid the minimum on what was due.
Yeah, I know. I see
Now,
that.
that
I
is,
do remember seeing that.
but
Yes.
let me, yeah, just real quick, while we still having this discussion, there's always fine print on the back of these that I want to just see if in fact that information is there, because it could be. Yeah, just give me a moment. Just give me a moment so I can look, just kind of glance through this real quick to see the confidential payment annual calculation. All right, right. All right. So, if you all will allow, I think this is it here. On the back of one of my bills, and this is from Chase. They have calculation of balance subject to interest. To figure your periodic interest charges for each billing cycle, when a daily periodic rate applies, we use the daily balance method, including new transactions. Wow, I didn't know that. Okay. Including new transactions to figure your periodic interest charges for each billing cycle. When a monthly periodic rate applies, we use the average daily balance method, including new transactions. For an explanation of either method or questions about a particular interest charge calculation on your statement, please call us at the toll-free customer service phone number listed above. We calculate periodic interest charges separately for each feature. For example, purchases, including Chase Pay Over Time plans created at Chase Loan or overdraft advances. These calculations may combine different categories with the same periodic rates. Variable rates will vary with the market based on the prime rate or such index described in your account agreement. There is a transaction fee for each balance transfer, cash advance, or check transaction, etc., etc., etc. Now, interpreting all of that from my calculations on this, it is doing exactly what it is I said it was going to do on a periodic rate. And on this particular card, my annual percentage rate is 17.74%. All right, which is going to be accruing on a daily basis. And there's a mathematical calculation that I could do for you where I can show you what my balance is and what I'm going to be accruing on a daily basis. And I have no problems telling you, since we having this discussion, that my current balance on this card is $870.99. and it was due on June the 16th. That's Tuesday. Now, I'm not sweating the small stuff because on June, or probably today, no later than tomorrow, I'm going to pay off the $870.99. So I won't accrue any interest. But here's where I'm losing. And we need to know this. I'm losing because I'm paying what is due, even though I'm paying it all off. It's affecting my credit score because I'm not paying it off quickly. Now I got a current credit score that's over 800. It's been like that for months, if not years. I think it dropped below 800, maybe about, I would tell you maybe a little over a year ago because I was carrying a lot of debt. But for the last year, I would tell you maybe 10 months now, I've been paying down my debt that started out at something like $56,000 that I've now got down to just over 5,000. And by October, I will only owe what's on credit cards. Now, I'm saying this to us for two reasons. One, this is my way of talking to us about money. And I'm using myself as an example, something that we don't do. We don't expose ourselves to each other relative to how we are paying down our debt. So this is my way of being able to have us start having these discussions about money, because what I want to see is, my hope is, my prayer is that by us doing this, we can help each other get out of debt. That's my hope. That's my prayer, that we can do this. So at some point, and I know that Omar is doing this in his financial freedom workshops, is he's having these discussions. What I'm hopeful for, and I hope to have an opportunity to be able to sit in on some of them, is, and I will just ask, Omar, when you're doing these programs, are you getting exchanges from those participants where you're feeling as though you're helping them because you do have the opportunity to talk about this?
I can say yes. In the classes that we have conducted so far, in the participant engagement around the material, they talk about how this is helping them and informing them. And some of the exercises reinforce action, doing something, and building towards the next week's lesson. And they have an opportunity to share. And many of them do implement what they have outlined as a strategy that they want to work on, something that they want to improve, etc.
Okay, alhamdulillah. Yeah, that's good to hear, because that's where the benefit, in my opinion, that's where the benefit of the work comes in. You know, and to be able to see that and recognize that, in fact, we're not just talking a good game, we're actually helping people, and that is the goal and objective. So, alhamdulillah, I'm glad to hear that. And I am going to do, yeah. Yeah, I just did just a real quick calculation to kind of give us some idea of what's happening with my own bill. So if I did the math correctly, that $870 that is a balance on my Chase account, where I am at an interest rate of $17.74. That is both a variable rate and a daily balance method, including any new transactions. Every day that goes by, I am paying $4.22 in interest on that $870. Meaning that if I wait until, I don't remember, there's no postmark on this bill, so it actually ended, let's see, it's got to be on here somewhere. Okay, so it ended on May the 19th, this particular bill. So assuming that I received it, let's say the following week, May the 26th. So from May the 26th until June the 16th, which is when it's due, I've been accruing $4.22 each day. So however many days that is, I don't know, 26. Let's just say it's 10 days. I'm gonna just say it's 10 days. So that's $42.20 in interest. It's longer than that because it's every day. It's not just a business day. So you talking about, and if I go out and put other charges on that account, it's also accruing interest. In my case, as I said, I'm paying it off. Ain't no big deal. I ain't sweating the small stuff. But now I'm starting to think about other people and how they are paying off their bills. Some bills, they're on recurring things. And I mean, I'll tell you something else I learned. I took advantage of a payment plan on a credit card bill, and you may have this on one of your credit cards, that allows you to pay a much, much, much lower interest rate over time of anything that you charged over $100. So if in my case, I have the opportunity, I have at least 2 charges on this particular credit card bill that are eligible for payment on over time, where instead of me paying 17.74% interest, that's a variable and compounded daily. Instead of that, it may drop down to 3% or maybe even 2.5%. It'll be a lower interest that I'll have to pay on those charges. I took advantage of that on one of my charge cards, I would tell you, over a year ago, knowing that I was going to pay it off sooner. But this is what happened. I did, in fact, pay it off sooner, like months before it was due. But the credit card company kept charging me that percentage rate each month because that's what I agreed to. Now, fortunately, it was a low rate, and every month I kept paying it off, but every month that interest rate would come back. So where I thought I was slick, taking advantage of this pay over time that reduced any charge I had that was $100 or more, they had something else that pulled me right back in, where I had to end up paying more money than what I would have if I had just paid the whole thing off. All right. So I'm just imparting this information to us so that, we get a better understanding as to how this money game works, not just in terms of credit cards, but other things that we may want to do. And we can save this discussion for another day. But many people, particularly older adults, I don't know what the percentage may be in our community, but there are many people across this country that suffer, that lose their properties to reverse mortgages. And reverse mortgages have got a bad name. But I think there's a way that you can, matter of fact, I know there's a way that you can use a reverse mortgage to your advantage and not lose your property that you had planned on your family inheriting from you. So, I mean, I'll save that for another discussion, but there is an article that I want to post to Graceline that someone else wrote about it, instead of just speaking extemporaneously as I am right now. And it kind of supports some of the things that I've learned about reverse mortgages in helping, elderly folk, or knowing stories of elderly folk who've taken out these reverse mortgages and have literally lost their homes that they planned on turning over to their children and grandchildren, et cetera, et cetera.
I had again, we pay for what we don't know, and oftentimes we pay dearly. What I'm finding, coming to understand from Brother Omar and Brother Edward, and you, that being disciplined, financially disciplined is so important. I've grown up, what they say, flying by the seat of my pants. And I have found that, the lack of discipline can cost you dearly, and we need to remind one another, that how important that is. And Allah will help us. I have my issues, but I see where Allah is helping me and giving me mercy. Thank you.
Yep.
Assalamu alaikum. Let us remember that the people that make the rules are not moral. It's their rules. And if they control the rules, they can do what they want to do. Just like in North Carolina right now. I got a lot of clients that are getting these bills from the state. Going back to 2021, I just got one the other day from 2022. And the charge is that I didn't file this form, payroll form. And they just sent a $1,000 bill. So I had to go back in my records and say, hey, I did file it. Here it is. But just think of how many people that don't have that. I mean, if you owe some money, they got all kind of penalties, underpayment penalty, late payment penalty, whatever. And there was a point in time North Carolina wasn't that much of a stickler on collecting penalties. Well, they changed that now. Not only have they changed that currently, but they're going back 5 years when they didn't charge you and charge you. Yeah, I said, well, about 3 years ago, the North Carolina lowered there was graduated rates on income tax. And it went from 4.9 9 up to 7.2%. Naturally, the wealthy people paid the 7.2%. So now they passed a thing where they cut, everybody pays the same rate, 5%. They gave the wealthy a tax break. Now, the money that they're not collecting got to come from somewhere. So they found a new way to do it by going back and, oh, you didn't file form NC3, this is the payroll form, whatever, or you had a balance due on your personal tax return, and we didn't charge you the penalty for late filing or whatever, and then going back and collecting all that. Now this was especially during the COVID years, where they gave people a so-called break. Well, it wasn't a permanent break. Now that we know it's just delayed break. Now they undoing those breaks they gave people. They make the rules. And as I said, they are not exactly the most moral people in the world. And that's what you got to, that's what you have to be careful of. And that's what's happening right now. Things that people would believe that it would operate this way. Now all of a sudden they're changing the game plan. So I just wanted to say that.
Now, Adam, what you just hit on is something that is incredibly important. And it's something that there are platforms out there that we stumble across I'll say I stumble across from time to time. And I have not been a consistent purveyor of those platforms, but when rules changes that affect business, rules changes that affect family life, rules changes that affect, your legal status in a community, of things that you can and cannot do that affect you. A lot of times, most of us, and I'm basically talking about my friends and family, we bump into those things, we read those things, we hear about those things. We don't have forums where we then discuss those things and make sure that everybody else around us is aware of those things. We keep it within a small group of people. I may have coffee with a friend of mine and bring it up and we discuss it, but then it doesn't go out to the broader community until it's like the truck that runs over somebody and we say, "Didn't you see that truck coming? I saw that truck coming from a mile away. I didn't tell anybody about it." Right? So I don't, what we try to do here on Sunday morning, what Sister Fitra does on Sunday morning, what some of our other programming in our community that tries to do, MAP 5 does a good job, I think, on a weekly basis. Michael Amin's show, Not Just Talk, does a good job. Adam, your program does a good job. The brother that follows you, I think he does a pretty good job of staying on top of things that are current and things that could have a broad effect. And we need, not only do we need more of that, but I think that we need to make sure that more people in our community are aware of these particular resources and take advantage of it. Because just like what you just described is happening in North Carolina. So people are getting hit in the face with this, just like you just got your $1,000 bill. How many months ago was that particular policy potentially debated? They put a public notice out or something like that this was going to go into effect.
None.
So none,
Not
right?
a drip.
Somewhere in some back room, Adam, somebody had to had a discussion on this. They hit it on the inside back page of a public notice somewhere. They have to do that, right? They have to do that. And our representatives, people that represent us in our respective state legislatures and stuff of that nature, local government as well, should be screaming from the rooftops about stuff like that.
Yeah. Well,
Because I mean, I live in
don't get me
Dallas, Texas,
started.
and Dallas, Texas is
That's right.
Dallas, Texas is dirty. I mean, great, put on a great face, but man, they'll do some dirty stuff down at City Hall. You know, you want to get pitchforks and tar and stuff and go after people.
Yeah.
You know.
They're terrible up in Raleigh because the Republicans have a lockhold on the state legislature.
Mm-hmm.
And then so our so-called leadership, let's say from Cumberland County, we had this guy that real popular, Caucasian, real popular guy. And he went to Raleigh as a state senator. And he was collaborating with the Republicans. So the governor, former governor Cooper, came down and during the next election and supported his opponent, which was an African American female. So the Caucasian called me because I was head of the Black Caucus, and he said, he asked me, Adam, what we gonna do? Now the guy was a nice guy now.
And what did Adam say?
You mean we, Kimosabe?
Exactly. Now he was a nice guy. He was smooth. Now when he come, we had an event at Damascus, a brunch, and he came out and stayed the whole time. You know, a lot of the politicians came and made appearances and left. This guy stayed the whole time. Smooth. I could have sworn when he left, he said, Assalamu alaikum. So, so when he called me on what we gonna do,
What we gonna do, Master?
I called him. I called him Senator Black Lives Matter. But anyway, now he's the chairman of the county commissioners now, right? And the African Americans love this guy. We had these sisters that are commissioners, and they're female. Well, sisters, okay, African American females. And his name is Kirk, and I call them the Kirkettes. So anyway, we got a very interesting thing around here, man. Really, really. So what can you do?
Well, let me say this real quick, because my takeaway from the beginning of your story, right after you said you got the $1,000 bill, you went back and pulled your records and was able to show them that you had paid it.
No, I had filed the form. I didn't pay
you
it.
filed the form. Right. Okay.
It was a penalty for not filing. Right.
Right. So at the end of the day, you didn't owe that $1,000.
Exactly.
Because you paid them. But what I want to say about that, the entire takeaway for the rest of us is that the way that we thwart these different things that they keep throwing at us is to say to us that documentation is the key to our success.
Amen. Yeah.
You having a file somewhere on, I keep a file on traffic tickets, red light, speed cameras that I pay. Because I've already had enough experience in this. A couple of decades ago, a disgruntled employee of the city's Office of Tax and Revenue was fired, and upon his firing, he took some data out of there that removed thousands of people that had paid their DC employee withholding taxes. These are withholding taxes that you are charged by DC for the employees that work for you, and you're required to file those taxes monthly. Some people are on a different schedule, but in my case, it was filing them monthly. After this, I guess what we now know as a data breach, but this was more of a actual theft. Rather, DC had no backup. So they sent notices out to everybody saying that you owed, plus penalty and interest. Two things happened with me. I had the documentation, and I told them that I had it, but I felt as though it was not my responsibility to share with you documentation that I already provided for you just because you had a theft. And I had to find out that it was a theft through my refusal to pay what was already paid. They wanted me to send in proof that I had paid it. And I said, well, I got the proof. But why do I need to show it to you? I already sent it in. You've already acknowledged. I've got a copy of the check front and back. And I'm trying to figure out the reason that I refused to do it was because the city was not paying me to produce documentation that I had already provided to you. Now I got to go back through my records. I got to go back and pull a check front and back. And this was a time that all banking was not electronic. So this was the time that I was actually getting, I guess all of you recall the time that when you got your statement, you also got your checks back with the statement. And so you're going to put me through all of this work. Now, fast forward to literally 2 weeks ago. I have been in a year-long dispute with the water authority here in DC. It's a year this month that I have been in a dispute with them, and I am going through a process that they require me to go through to dispute a $500 bill that I think should be in the neighborhood of less than $150. They decided 2 weeks ago that those people who are in disputes, we are now requiring you to pay what it is that you owe, plus penalty and interest from a year ago that I started this dispute. And long story short, they gave no notification to anyone. I personally called them on it, spoke to one of the managers there, and discovered at the end of the day, I discovered I was not included in that group. But I wouldn't have known that if I had not called them. I also discovered that they gave no notification to anyone that they were going to do this. It wasn't in my bill anywhere. In fact, when I look at my bill still tells me how to dispute charges. And then they had the nerve to say that we did that because we've discovered there were people who were using our system in order to avoid paying the monthly bill. Okay. Well, it sounds to me like you need to change the system in order to weed those people out. And in fact, I was willing to admit that I was one of those people, because I wasn't going to pay you no $500 and something when I knew that where I felt I only owed you less than 150. And you could hear some little clicking in the background. And that's when she said to me, oh, we weren't including you because they could see on the record that every bill that I've gotten since then, I've paid it. The only thing that remains in dispute is that $500, because that's all I was dealing with. I don't think I owe you. And given the opportunity, you're going to have to show me that I owe you this, because I'm claiming that it's a faulty meter. And I asked them repeatedly for almost 6 months to change the meter out. And guess what? Once they did, once they changed that meter, my bill has gone back to normal. And what is normal? Today, my current charges, and I'm looking at it right now, is $156.66. All right? That's what and if I go back, I can show you bills that I paid for $134. And everything is well below that $500 bill. And I know this, I know it's a faulty meter because I had that faulty meter experience. Not only did they discover one time that I had a faulty meter, they replaced it with another faulty meter. How bad it is. But the point of all of this is to say that I'm able to get out of these things because I kept the documentation to prove it. And I'm telling you, documentation is the key. Yes. You may look at it like it's just a bunch of junk, sitting around your house. Well, have a junk file where you put stuff in that you've satisfied, where you keep your receipts. I ask for a receipt for everything. And they don't do no electronic stuff with me. Give me the receipt. Go to Home Depot. You want the receipt? Yes. I go to the grocery store. You want the receipt? Yes. I started doing that decades ago, keeping receipts for everything. I got Easy Pass now, but sometimes when I go through a toll where they don't have Easy Pass, give me a receipt. Go to a parking lot. Just pick my family up from Dulles Airport. Yes, I want a receipt. I'm telling you, documentation is the key. Now, I've been sitting down here for weeks, and I'm willing to admit this. I've been sitting down here for weeks discarding some of the information that I have because it's of no value at this point. I think in D, and for some reason, don't ask me why, but in DC, I've got to keep business records for 10 years. But I think last time I checked, IRS only requires me to keep stuff for 7 years. How come we at 10? It's just little stuff like that that can be annoying to those of us that are in business. So anyway, I'm going to encourage us, if we haven't done it, start holding on these to these receipts and have that documentation at the ready. Whenever you pay your property taxes, whenever you pay your mortgage, whenever you pay your car note, all these different bills that you have, keep some record of it. If you do it electronically and they give you a confirmation number, either print out that page or write the confirmation number on the bill and the day that you paid it. So that you've got a record of it. Because at some point they are going to come back and try to get more out of you. And I want you to be able to say, like my father used to say to me, and And Imam Tariq, he was out of Mississippi, so I know you've heard this before, and I know Edward has heard it. You can't get blood from a turnip. That's, oh man used to tell me that all the time. So, so when they come back at you, you gonna know that they ain't gonna be able to get so much from you. So, alhamdulillah, I mean, I hope this has been of some benefit to us.
They can't get butter from the duck, man.
The butter from a duck. Yeah, I mean that Imam Talib, what you're saying about record keeping is so incredibly important. And I'm not going to go into my long story with the IRS, but I will tell you that if it wasn't for record keeping and having documentation, there is a very good chance that I would be a very different, very bitter person speaking to you today. But proper record keeping saved me in the face of their claims. And these days, I mean, I recommend people keep both the physical receipts and the electronic digital receipts. You know, create digital files in the cloud, so to speak, for yourself, but also keep physical records and, you know, try to have a storage space for those physical records where water damage and fire damage could be limited, right? So that those records are not destroyed, you know, at least for the time period that you need to keep them. Because I know some people that have suffered greatly in the Houston area, friends of mine in the Houston area, just from having records destroyed by water and things of that nature. And some of those records irreplaceable simply because of when they were created. Records came about before we had a lot of digital records. And in the state of Texas, I mean, I don't know how far they go back of digitizing certain things, property records, you know, things of that nature, you know, where the borders are and things like that. And you can suffer if you don't have some of your original documents. So, yeah, absolutely excellent stuff. I see Omar had to leave for Talim. I know that Imam Adam is going to have to leave shortly for a business meeting at the masjid there in Fayetteville. So while we still have Adam, um, I wanted to bring up a couple of things and we can discuss this further next week, is with this new organization that took over for Flip Cause. And I'm going to see if I can pull up their name real quick because I haven't dealt with them enough for it to be hardwired into my brain as to the name of the organization. I think it starts with Donation Pro. So we need to discuss our ongoing relationship with Donation Pro, and next Sunday would be the perfect time to do that. Next Sunday, the 21st. Because we have to decide if we're going to have that ongoing relationship with them and how we're going to manage that. So we can talk about that. We can talk about that next Sunday. So just put that on the calendar and hopefully you are here for that. The other thing I didn't get a chance to ask Omar, I don't care. I don't have the calendar in my head and I don't want to search for it. How are we with the financial freedom seminars? What is the ongoing schedule with that? If anybody knows that information, either if you're there as a participant or you have that flyer or that information. I know it's on the website. I just don't want to open up another window at the moment to look at that while we have the meeting going on. But I didn't get a chance to ask him about participation and what we can do to further promote the seminars and what's working and what's not working. So that's hopefully he'll be with us again next Sunday, and we can talk about that because I do believe that continuing those seminars, and I know we're going to go through the end of the year, but making sure that they're promoted properly is major. And also just kind of determining, starting if there are anything that we want to add to, not in the seminars themselves, because that's pretty set, but if there are other things that we want to talk about and start to kind of flesh out to be of greater financial aid to our community. I was really happy this past week on some of the programs that I tuned into on AM 360 to hear conversations about collective buying. That seems to be seeping into a lot of people's minds, and we're having conversations about that. And there were some really good conversations, at least, beginning conversations about how that could work and how it could be managed properly so that people really do benefit and that they participate in it at a high level and consistently. So I don't want to get into it this morning, but it was good to hear those conversations beginning and hopefully people wanting to be a part of that. The other thing that came up this
Is
week.
Sister Kalila? Sister
Yeah,
Kalila?
she's still with us, and I saw her note, and we're going to get to her note that she pasted in the chat here in a second because I do want her to talk about that a little bit
Okay.
this morning. The there has been a lot of there's been a lot of information put out, and I'm starting to get a lot more emails these days about Islamic investing. And I'm really glad, Sister Kalila, that you put that in there because I was going to talk about this anyway, about in investing. And this is like investing in the stock market, investing in real estate, investing in bonds, investing in different things. So there's most of this is Middle East based. I can tell by the language, but it's still important information, and it affects the broad Islamic community of what type of investing is available to us. Right? I mean, what can we do? What can we not do? What restrictions are there? Are these restrictions cultural? These restrictions actually Quranic? However you want to look at that. So we do know that we already have within our community some trusted sources for what I would consider traditional Western investing. Um, I can't remember the brother's name right off the top of my head, but give me a minute. And because it's one of the brothers that's in our community, he's always at a time to be grateful as a contributor. Oh, what is his name? Michael, can you help me with that? I can't remember young brother's name right off the top of my head, but it
I'm
is
not sure, but I want
HUD.
to just
Okay.
go
HUD,
ahead.
HUD Williams, HUD Williams. And there should be several people here who are familiar with Brother HUD Williams and the organization investment firm that he represents. That he's a part of the IWDM community, has been for many, many, many years. So I always like to start with people that are in our community that I know, that I've interacted with, and that I've done business with. So when we start thinking about different types of uses for our money and how to create generational wealth, I mean, if we can keep it in the family, so to speak, I like to do that as long as it's a trusted member of the family. But I would like to, I think, Rabbani, you wanted to hear just some input from Sister Kalila. Am I correct in that?
I just wanted to let her know that we have gotten the permit for the cemetery in Charlotte, and that someone should at least follow it up to get the pay for the permit down at the city hall. So, okay.
And all that kind of stuff.
Edward, you
Yes.
mentioned something that I briefly touched on relative to the presentation that I did today. Towards the end, in building up, Graceline and our being a credible organization that our community could turn to. Could you start considering doing a series like Omar did, in and not just with yourself, but in even inviting guests like Hud Williams to make presentations to us on beginning or starting to make investments, on a scale that is commensurate with our group. The assumption being that, we're not a group of wealthy people, but we are a small group that wants to begin the process of making these investments that are going to sort of match what's in our pockets, and what we're able to do. I mean, for example, you mentioned Fundrise, where you could invest, like $10. You gave us some information earlier on how to purchase shares of stock in SpaceX. And there may be other methods that we can, speak about, in terms of insurance, annuities. I mean, you got me into I-bonds, simply by mentioning it. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, mine are going to mature about a year from now, September, October 2027. So I think it would be a good follow-up to what Omar is presently doing. And it will, hopefully it will kind of keep us going and moving in that same direction. So, I would ask that, you give that some consideration. There's a brother here in DC that I could also recommend to you, that has done presentations on debt reduction. So, and I'm sure there's others on our calls that could also recommend folk that could do these, presentations. So I'm just asking at this point you give it some thought.
Oh, I would absolutely love to do something like that, and I would love to do it in the sense of a discussion, of a kind of a direct discussion of particular things, and maybe even a broader discussion of certain other things. What I'm always afraid of is the individual that comes on and they're simply, it's all about them and their firm, so to speak, especially when it comes to investments. because I'd really like to have the kind of broad discussion that includes perspectives that touch on a lot of people and what their particular situation may be. The
Right.
situations are vastly different.
Yes.
Even among people who are in the same income bracket, the challenges that they face are different.
Yes.
And the solutions, the best solutions for them might be different than that of their neighbor. They live in
Yes.
the same neighborhood, same size house, they have the same number of children,
Right.
same income, but there are certain challenges that are different.
Right.
And it could be future expectations, it could be past decisions that they've made, it could be extraneous family situations,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Like my
different things.
situation, I got a special needs child.
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
So,
Income levels all the same and
uh,
et cetera, et cetera. But if you don't have a child with multiple disabilities, you're not going to understand my situation.
that's exactly
So
right.
yes, I agree.
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
and even when you're talking about, say, just a young married couple,
Right.
and let's say a great profession to be in, a wonderful profession to be in, is to be either a welder or a plumber.
Mm-hmm.
Welders and plumbers make six figures, right? They make really good money. If you're a good plumber, you're gonna be busy.
Right.
If you're a good plumber, you could have an injured back, injured hands at any time. Disability for a young, busy plumber is a greater possibility than that young man's death,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And if you have a long-term disability, you can lose everything.
Right. Yep.
You're living and you are in need. You still got to have food, you still got to have shelter, you still got to have clothing, but you're not able to generate an income. Somebody's taking care of you,
Right. Right.
right?
That's
So
right.
if you don't have the proper long-term disability insurance, you and your family are in for a long-term struggle.
Right.
Very few people talk about disability insurance.
That's right.
Very few people know how to purchase disability insurance.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And what amount and what term and what period of time and all of these different things. And I could tell you right now, I could go 10 years
Right.
without ever discussing disability insurance with another living human being.
Right.
Doesn't come up. And Aflac commercials don't count.
Right. No,
So,
yes.
I mean,
You,
these are little,
Somebody had to say it.
right.
Email. Oh my
These
goodness.
are little
oh,
things that slip through the cracks, right? So I remember,
that's right.
when I was young in the financial services community, one of the old guys, Bob Malstead, telling me, that if you're 35 years or younger, you're three times as more likely to be disabled as you are to die.
Okay.
Three times, right? That's changed a little bit because there are many more jobs now where you're sitting at a desk than there were back in the early and mid 1980s when I was first getting started out. So the world has changed in the last 40 or so years. So there are even more men who are simply at jobs where they're sitting in a cubicle all day long. So those numbers have probably changed as well, even though now it may be a different kind of disability. Lack of activity may lead to hypertension, heart disease, obesity, you know, and everything that comes with that, kidney disease and all those things that can also create a disability.
Right.
There's an Islamic brother that's here in the Dallas-Fort Worth area that was making $180,000 a year as an engineer. He has diabetes now. He's about to lose everything because he had no long-term disability insurance. His unemployment only went for a particular point in time. He can't
Right.
work, right?
Right.
He lives in an $800,000 house that the mortgage
Mhm.
is now 5 months behind,
Okay.
right? And the community's been helping this brother,
Right.
but that can only go on for so long,
That's
right?
right.
You
Right.
got,
That's right.
and
That's right.
he's trying to sell his house,
Hmm.
you know. His
Hmm.
brain still works fine, but his body not so good.
Right. Right. Right.
So, people are trying to help, him find work and different things like that where he can use his intelligence
Right.
and work from home because, being hooked up to
Right.
dialysis machine and all those type things, man, it's difficult. But that's a disability that places him in a certain position. If
Mm-hmm.
he's an immigrant in Pakistan where he's from, I bet they don't have disability insurance.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a part of the
No, most
mindset.
the, the disability and insurance are families and
Right.
people
Right.
who are
Right.
in that community.
Yeah.
One of the things that my wife and I have been working on is because of the Medicaid and Medicare issues now, where people are actually losing their property over a period of time. That we're trying to put together a company in Ethiopia that would take African Americans and invite them to be taken care of in this facility that trying to put together,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that
Okay.
they would not that whatever uh, uh, monies that they would accrue if they have to deal with these federal government programs, uh, they won't be able to touch their property, but we would be able to take care of them for less. Say, for instance,
Yeah.
they like my mother was $7,000, $8,000 a month. Okay,
Right. Right.
over there for $1,200,
Same
you
level of
have
care and all that, right?
yes, and the people were and they're very so kind and know how to do things without you telling them, and really would it be in an environment that would be enjoyable,
Mm-hmm.
to be in an environment that you always thought like the motherland, the mother country.
Right.
So they have different physical, we have transportation, we have, the whole program. You know what I mean? That
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't be the same. It would give you more uh, psychological and business, and you could also deal with business there. People, because the wages are low and the people's intelligence are very high in terms of there are many graduates every year graduating and not having no possibility of getting a job. Very talented people, very energetic, you know, look like you, but have very high morals in terms of treating you and dealing with you, not giving you stuff that would cause you a defect, and having a lot of the products and foods that they know are that help develop your health, natural foods. So these are some opportunities. And I'm not talking about Dan Quixote, the brother who has the largest oil refinery in Nigeria. I
Mm-hmm.
said, I, you know, I said, I don't know why we can't do a uh, collective group to import. We don't have to import it to the states. We can import motor oil to other African countries. As this is what's going to happen, because the shifting of the economics is going to shift away from the states to Africa, because Africa got youth energy and creativity, and that's going to be a good. That's going to be an interesting situation there. But getting back to the nursing home and nursing care, we're working on trying to get that set up. You know.
Yeah, that would be an excellent thing. The
Yeah.
that particular type of venture. So China has been a leader in that for a number of years. The entire experience, the medical experience, the healthcare, living arrangement experience and things like that, very inexpensive. There are several, I mean, I'm talking about in the hundreds of facilities in and around Shanghai that are set up for that. Same thing in Turkey, which has been China's biggest competitor in that realm, mostly for Europeans. They're very comfortable going to Turkey,
Right.
and either side of the country, the European side or the Asian side, and getting their health care done, going there for long-term care and things of that nature, much less expensive than you're going to find in Paris or London or Berlin and, or Bern and any of these other, metropolises in Europe where they supposedly have great health care. But you're talking about 30 cents on the dollar in Turkey,
Yeah.
sometimes 15 cents on the dollar in China. And I imagine Ethiopia could become very competitive to
10 and
either of
15
those situations. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, this sounds like some good information we need to be spreading to others.
Well, I mean, it's an opportunity. What Rabbani is really talking about is an opportunity for those in our community that have resources that want to participate in those type facilities, is to be in on the building and creation,
Right.
of those facilities, and that be long-term venture. It's not just present day money, but it's long-term money.
Right.
So I mean, that is definitely something to think about for the community at large, participating in something like that. And it can be structured properly that people are, that you can be assured of your participation being, legally covered and
Yeah.
you're not have any concerns.
Our community is it's quietly moving and developing throughout the country. Like I said, we got two new masjids coming up. And we've got permits, and they're going groundbreaking should be in a couple of weeks in Columbia. But we have one that's already underway in Raleigh. And this comes from the community of Imam Talib-Din. Okay, so it's not like people from outside building a masjid and not building an economic component. And I told people, I said, I cannot design another masjid without an economic component in it. Right. So you have to plan. You're going to have to plan, just like the Musalla. You're going to have to plan. We're going to have to plan for economic, business, commercial component in that masjid. Okay.
Right.
Well, the idea of masjid needs to be the idea of
redefined.
The idea of masjid needs to be given the proper perception as a utility, a community center.
That's right.
That's
right.
I wanted to ask: Is Sister Kalila going to make a presentation?
Well, yeah, we're going to get to her because I want to know about the Ojima wealth, and I know that it's this evening. But if she can give us like the Reader's Digest version of this particular group and their aims and stuff like that, I would appreciate it.
I haven't heard Reader's Digest.
Hey,
give us the jet version.
Look, I I'm a gentleman of a certain vintage, right?
You're old.
Yeah, some of the Reader's Digest stories can be long. So give me the jet version.
I just turned 80 last week, so I remember those things, man. And there's a lot of things. Listen, a lot of things I say don't even people's eyes don't even look up. You know,
I do this. Yeah, look, I do
around,
that. I do that to my sons, and they just look at me like I'm an alien.
looking like what are you talking about? Osmond and Harry.
No, Sister Kalila, we're not a formal presentation. Just just drop a couple of dimes on us.
All right. Assalamu alaikum.
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. I'm glad that I was able to stay on today. And believe it or not, I became a member of Graceline. It feels like 6 years ago when they first began. It's just that I haven't been able to get onto the Zooms as much as I would like to. But as far as the group tonight, that's Sister Latoya Hassan, and she's from Pennsylvania. Her father is an Imam Nathan Hassan. She just started this group about 2 years ago, and it is wrapped around investment in stocks. So today, I know she has a presenter coming on. It's something called the Cash Flow Coach, and her name is Tramel McKenzie. Now, Latoya is a Muslim, but some of us on there are Muslims that come onto her group, others are not. So it is new. And after listening today, I said, oh my goodness, Allah is merciful. Maybe this is a way of collaborating. Maybe some of you can come onto hers and give her some ideas so she can join onto the Graceline as well, because it's definitely stocks and bonds, investment, retirement. And the gentleman earlier was talking about the Fundrise. And I think that's an excellent concept. So I'm going to introduce that, not introduce, but share that information with her tonight. But if you're on, you could give her more about that to help her get a better understanding about it. Inshallah. Thank you.
All right, well, I for one am glad you mentioned it. I did copy and paste the link on another on a separate thing so I wouldn't lose it. And I can't see a reason why I won't be able to try and join myself, inshallah.
Okay, inshallah.
I thank you for that.
Thank you today for all the information, which was all valuable. And I have to put more of an effort to try to come on and invite others as well. Inshallah.
Thank you for that. Go ahead, Michael.
I want to share this with, Allah tells us in the Quran about protecting friends, the wali and waliya, I think it is for the feminine. Protecting the interests of the group is very important. And I just wanted to make a framework or the perception that this conversations we're having is connected with that spirit, protecting our interests to make sure that we're going in the right direction, pleasing Allah and being pleased with ourselves. That's the nafs and mutmainah. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, that is very true. And that is definitely, I mean, that's something that I'm always thinking of. I mean, that is, if that's doesn't appear to be in the foreground, when I talk about things, then hopefully it's in the background and it kind of hits you later on. This is all about information to both provide and protect, right? We want to provide a better future for ourselves and everybody in our community, and that includes our families, and we want to protect that. We want to make sure that it's enduring, and that we can set ourselves up in such a way, because we know the assaults are coming from all sides.
Yeah, America's in bad shape, man.
Well, the world is in bad shape. Yeah. The world is in bad shape.
No, I'm saying that since the spearhead
Oh
is
yeah, that's
way out of having no idea on how to upright the ship.
right.
Having no idea. I hear it all the time. I mean, and people are crying and losing their farms and all of the businesses that they had developed off of the backs of other people, and now they are scrambling around trying to figure out where's the leadership. What does the leadership compose of? And
Yeah.
again, it goes back to morals, your moral life, your moral life, and your the idea of white supremacy. You have to kill that, as a
Let me
journalist.
let, let me tell you, let me say this, Rabbani, about the whole white supremacy thing. And this is something I learned from when I was a teenager. And like I said, I grew up in a small town in the western part of Texas where African American community was maybe about 4 or 5% of the overall community. So at that time, our voice in the community was relatively small. So you didn't, other than the preachers and the teachers and the coaches,
Mhm.
there wasn't a lot of African American influence. So if you're going to learn anything kind of about how the cheese was made, you learn that from kind of being close to or around the so-called white people, right?
Exactly.
And I was a good student and an excellent athlete. So when I turned 16 years old, the counselor at the high school made sure that I was placed in a job, summer job,
Hmm.
that I was around some people with some money.
Hmm.
And that I wasn't gonna be doing anything out there that was going to endanger my athletic performance come the fall when football season, right? So I worked in the shop of this oil field services company, and the people who ran it, a couple of wealthy white businessmen, they treated me just like they would treat any other African American male. Like you can say anything around me. I don't understand it. I'm not going to say anything about it. And those 2 years, those 2 summers and holidays that I would go out there and work, and these were good people. They paid me well. If my family
Hmm.
needed anything, I could go to them and get. I mean, these were what you would
Yeah.
basically call good white folk, right?
Hmm.
Decent white folk. Man, the things that they talked about that they did to each other let me know just how far down the totem pole African Americans were. Because if you would do that to another white man
I
who's
witnessed it.
supposed to be your peer, I already know what you're going to try to do to me, right? I don't need no more history lessons,
Right.
nothing.
Ruthless.
I've seen it.
Look, I don't even have to go back and study Jim Crow. I know what it is today. So I already knew what they would do to me. And you have to set your safeguards up. You have to
That's right.
understand that this is the land of wolves,
Yeah. Strong
right?
survive.
Man, and see the present leadership that we have, that's the way he views the world.
Right.
It's a land of wolves.
Mm.
Kill or be killed, eat or be eaten. We have a different perspective on life that's guided by Quran, Sunnah of the Prophet, his Sirah, our own teacher, Imam W.D. Muhammad. We have a whole different view of the way life is to be lived. It's different than that. What we cannot blind ourselves to is that the hills and the forest are still full of wolves.
That's right. Got to protect yourself.
You got to protect yourself
Yep.
and those that you care about
Yes.
without becoming a wolf,
Hmm.
right? We cannot allow ourselves to devolve, which is what they want. People like him, they want us all to devolve into that lesser
Right.
human.
Right.
Yes.
Back
Yes.
toward being animalistic.
Drag you down into the mud with them.
Exactly.
Right. Mm-hmm. I
You,
think it's
we
been
have to
I think
we
it's
have to
been
use the
described as
resources that we have to fight that.
right, right.
Fight the
That's
schemes of Shaitan, for the
There you
schemes.
go. Yeah, that's it.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And these people
and
don't
that's
have any idea. You know.
well. Here's the thing, though. It is so easy when, as Imam DeLacy said, when you living in the land of milk and honey, and every possibility is seemingly is within reach. It's very difficult to fight getting into that slipstream of moving in that direction of beginning to say to yourself, well, it's not really that bad. It's not that bad a deal.
Yeah,
You
that's what
know,
happened to Lot's wife.
it's not, I mean, okay, it's not black and white, it's gray.
Yeah, that's what Lot's wife felt for that.
Right. Who's it hurting?
right.
You have to go in with your ethics and standards.
Yes,
The Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told us to avoid the gray area.
exactly.
If you're not sure, leave it alone.
That's right. That's right.
You know, if you're not
oh,
sure, leave
that is
it alone.
beautiful. If you're not sure,
Hey,
leave it alone.
hey, what do they say? It's better to err on the side of caution.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
they got all kinds of metaphors to describe to tell us what to do. Our problem is we don't do as Allah instructs us to do, which is to read the signs.
Yes.
We don't do that. I mean, I'm telling you, man, everything in creation grows. Everything in creation submits itself to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I mean, and Allah says in the Quran, even the shadows prostrate themselves. But I want you to walk in the night or walk during the day and watch your shadow even grow. Because as you're walking under that light, your shadow disappears, the reflection of it on the sidewalk disappears, it gets smaller, but then as you continue to walk, even your shadow grows in prostration. We don't see those signs because we're not paying attention. We don't get the chance to see the stars. Not here, not where I am. Because the light that's reflecting from the city blocks me from seeing the stars. And you're not going to tell me that that's not on purpose. Because I remember as a child being able to look up in the sky and see the stars. As a child,
That's
I
the
could do
challenge.
that. I
That's
can
the
no
challenge.
longer do that in Washington, D.C.
That's the challenge of city life
Yep, it is. It
to
is. And that's
maintain
why
that.
more and more and when I say the we, I'm speaking of this household, we are looking for other ways and means for us to live out the rest days of our lives. That's what we're looking for. And Allah gives us comfort in that because He says His earth is spacious.
Yeah.
Yeah. A question, Edward and group. Oh, we, Brother Hassan Shamsuddin was mentioned. I see he's here about something that he might share with us. I can't remember the nature of it. Does anybody remember?
Oh, I do. Imam, Brother Shamsuddin, do you have a few minutes to share your vision with us?
Yeah, I have a few minutes, but that's not my, I guess that's not my best uh, PowerPoint. I'll put it that way. I'm not good at talking. I'm a writer. That's what I do. Um, my idea of what I'm doing now in the process of doing is based on just what you all are doing. The fact is the need that we as a people have. I'm just addressing needs. For me, really, if I had a chance to write, matter of fact, if you notice when you all be talking, I may write something in the chat. But as far as I've never been. I guess they call what they may say. Um, I'm not good at presenting things, But Graceline for me is just. I'm not. To me, you all are answering the need. The same as you. I may go on study Al Islam or anything. I'm just a person who's about supporting us as a people. And people that I see, to me, is like-minded of myself. So I'm just,
You
yeah,
put
go
you're
ahead.
pretty good. You're pretty good with conversation because I got a question in
Okay.
terms of just what are you doing?
What am I doing? Um, well, I'm putting,
I would tell you to keep talking about it. Just talk in your own language.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll be able to pick up on what it is you're saying.
well, I guess what I'm, first of all, I am, I've worked with youth over at the Youth Study Center here in Philadelphia.
Okay.
I've been doing that for 8 years. I was a volunteer up at the prisons situation in Philadelphia for 13 years, working with us as a people Muslims there. I wrote my first book in 2010. So, I'm always looking for something, especially by me dealing with the youth. I realize that, we don't too much have anything for them other than what we think is about the religion, just talking. But we don't have enough material things that we can help them with as they transition from the centers or wherever they're into.
Right.
We know that once they come from wherever they're at, they're going right back into the street because, so they don't have anything that we can say. For instance, as you all say many times, and it's all the same, we all got the answers. It's just the idea of putting things together that will benefit. And I keep saying us the people. So I'm just like anyone else that's really concerned. Um, at this point, I was just trying to put together something that I could use as a vehicle that might bring in some type of revenue, cash flow that I could use to begin to try to pull people into supporting. And as we say, future generations. That's it. So I thought about real estate. So, but I have to do it the way that I know how to do it, not you know. And that's the thing. I can't again. Probably you ask me questions, but you can't ask what you don't know. So I already got. That's why I say, okay, I'm not good at trying to uh as you say, all right, speaking, talk what me just saying it. Um,
Your name, Hassan, is attractive light on the dean. So
yeah,
that's what I'm listening for.
yeah. All right, I mean that one who changes, beautifies, and makes better. Uh,
That's what I said.
yeah, yeah, that's what I choose. In light of the religion. Talib-Din. So yeah, I chose those names. So and I try to live up to them. But again, you'll eventually, just like anything else. I'm a doer. I'm really not a talker. I have to keep doing. Because I know I got to answer for what it is that I say, what I know. So that's about it. So I'm really about supporting whatever. And I said that early on. I'm not an educated guy. I'm just not. I'm 83 years old. I am a Vietnam veteran, 100% disabled veteran. Um, I support, I don't know how many how many charities of our schools and different organizations. That's just what I do.
You
Um,
fit right in. Well, let me
yeah,
ask Brother Edward. Brother Edward, what were you looking at in terms of what he was doing?
Well, the primary thing that kind of captured my imagination with Brother Hassan's plan was his idea of using real estate, purchasing purchasing real estate, rehabilitating real estate, and using and training our youth in that rehabilitation process. Them
Oh yeah,
being carpenters, them being painters,
yeah,
them being electricians, them being plumbers,
yeah.
learning all of the relative trades that are involved in creation and maintaining real estate and using that. I mean, you don't want to steal from the youth. So I mean, you want to have an enterprise that you actually do have some resources. However, you come about that from raising money from the community, if you buying a property and then you're going to get a home an improvement loan that's going to allow you to pay people a true wage for the work that they do on it. But primarily, the way Brother Hassan explained it to me is we really want to have the community involvement in this, right? That if you have these projects where you buy two or three houses in a neighborhood and you're going to rehabilitate those houses or those small apartment complexes, say a 6, 8 unit apartment complex, they're going to be income generating. You're going to use the youth and train them for upkeep, maintenance, all of these things, and then you're going to take whatever you earn from those properties, the income off of them, sometimes the eventual sale of them to somebody else, and you're going to continue on that process of replicating that over and over again. And as you grow, you bring more youth that are interested in these things into that entire cycle. So that you have these youth, and I know he's probably focused more on young men than he was young women. I know some young women that can do some pretty good framing, right? And they're pretty
Mm.
good house painters and stuff like that as well. Can do different things. So let's just say youth. We get them involved in it. You start building a stronger community, economic base, professional base for the community. And especially in the cases of our young men these days, you give them an income, present day and future income that will allow them to think positively and move positively toward marriage and having a family and knowing that they can be able to sustain that with a limited amount of stress that this modern world puts on somebody. So that's what I got out of it in a nutshell. And yeah, I mean, I think that is something. I think that's something that I think if you probe Imam Talib, that he would probably have that same kind of vision. I know I have that vision. I know Rabbani has talked about that before, and other people of doing something of that nature that we're able to impart business knowledge, professional development, and also the type of moral approach to life that we want in our community. So when you're working with a young person like that, it's like working side by side with your own son, right? Or a
Yeah,
nephew. Not only are you teaching them the job, but you're also talking to them about how to live life. You're having
Yeah,
these
yeah,
discussions that just happen about
that's right.
how you treat people and how you do business and how you have integrity and and if you're so you like that girl over there. Well, let me tell you a little bit about being a husband, right? And the things that
Yeah.
are required of you and how you should think and how you should feel and how you should act, what your plan should be and these things. You're able to have those things without being a classroom setting,
Yeah.
right? You just have these discussions and people are so much more receptive to that.
So it's multi-purpose concept.
Multi-purpose,
Yeah.
multi-purpose. It's true community building. It's true community
Yeah.
bonding.
And it's it's going after something that's more than money, but it's gonna make money.
Then 2 weeks ago now, 2 weeks ago tomorrow, I had a 2.5 hour discussion with my older son, and we talked about nothing but how to be a married man, starting with your entire approach to finding a wife,
Mhm.
right? And it didn't start out, the plan tonight is to talk about. No, that's not what happened,
Yeah. It was
right?
organic. It was organic,
It,
huh?
it, it was organic. And this, you know, this, our young people want this, right? Now, I'm fortunate enough that that's my son, and we're gonna talk a lot. But there are a lot of other young people out there, even in our Islamic community, that want to have these kinds of conversations, right? And it's so funny. I was laughing with a friend of mine the other day about this, group of men that I talk to. We get together every Saturday. We were together yesterday. It's about, anywhere from 15 to 20 kids. And I say kids, they're 19 to 32 years old. The oldest one's 32. And it's really funny that over a year ago when we started doing this stuff, the way they greeted me was OG. Hey, what's up, OG? How you feeling
They
today,
call it
OG? You ready to go, OG? Now it's
calling you Unc,
brother.
Unc
Now,
now.
no, now it's brother,
Okay.
right? Now it's brother,
Yes.
right? That's from on their level. I earned their respect. OG is a throwaway line. That's it. That's everybody over 50. OG, all right? That's every man over 50 is OG. When they start calling you brother, Brother Willis, okay? I didn't
Yeah.
demand that. I didn't demand that. That happened out of respect, consistency.
Yes,
The
sir.
the message didn't change. My actions didn't change, right? My reaction to them and the fact that they're young men, they ain't 60 years old. They hadn't experienced all of life. They ain't got it all figured out. They're going to make mistakes. They're going to say something that, you know, oh, brother, you need to check yourself. Come on, let's talk about that. Why do you say that? Why do you feel that way? You have these discussions with them, right? Where you're listening to them. And when you talk about situations where we have them working on a project, it could have been Rabbani's planting trees. It'd have been great if you'd had about 5 or 6 young brothers out there helping you plant trees, wouldn't it, Rabbani? Man,
Yeah,
you
to
could have
help
laid, you could have helped your back, and you would have laid something on their brain,
Yeah.
right?
uh,
When
you
when
know,
when Talib goes in and he's putting up drywall, man, it'd be great to have some of these young brothers want to learn how to tape in bed, right? It'd be nice to have some of these young brothers around when you take an old roof off and get it prepared to put a new roof on something,
Oh
right?
man. Yeah.
I'm just, these are opportunities. I know some of us take advantage of them. Sometimes I think we miss some of these opportunities, right?
you know, Edward. one of the reasons why I'm heading over to Ethiopia, one of the many reasons, is that I'm taking 10 computers with me to the orphanage with boys and some girls that are very talented in reference to um, making leather goods, leather clothing, and other items that they do, and excellent, and they're very excellent. And I said, well, I can help develop a company where you can produce certain styles that's African oriented, you know, style wise. And then I was trying to deal with DHL to ship some here during peak seasons of these sororities uh, that love to buy leather goods of high quality. And I've been talking with some people. I hadn't really had the length of talk that I need to have with the people who uh, produce leather hides in Pakistan and of different colors. Okay, and what I have I'm planning on doing is to get a supply of leather goods. They already have a sewing machine, and we're going to buy several more, and set up a business system. We have some girls who are orphans that we want to train to uh, do administrative work, and we want to have some of the brothers to do administrative work and do the sewing at a high quality. We're going to compete against the high quality of Italy and France. That's our objective. That we have to make a product that is higher in quality and in design that would compete with the highest level of products of Europe. So uh, we've got several things in place. I'm just going over there trying to purchase some machines, and that goes with what brother Hassan talked about. Now, in their case, they have nothing. They have no one to fall back on. Okay, the state, Ethiopian state, they're providing them with shelter, food, clothing, but they need a breath. They need more to be self-reliant and have that desire to be self-reliant. They have that desire, and the sisters, the young sisters, have to have the vision of being able to not develop a stereotype of what girls and women, because they get married early and have children, you know, and so they need a they need to have a system where they can get married and produce not only children but also products that can earn them a living where they can purchase an apartment and a house. I mean a car, and those things are things that they can are achievable outcomes. So we're going to try to get. I know myself. I'm putting in monies into that particular venture, and giving them the basic elements to have business, and each one will have a certain component of that business to be proficient in, and have also the ability to do the sewing and the cutting and the design if they have a talent for design, to be multitasked. All of them. It's about I say about 10 boys and about 8 sisters, girls, and so we've been talking about this. They've been sending me the products that they are trying are they're producing now, and they look very good. And so with certain guidance and then a market, we have a market that I was talking to my daughters and my sister concerning this particular marketing element that would be done at the conventions of the sororities every year, and have that display out, and also have products that have been already developed and get orders for the future. So these are some things that I know can work. So of course that the ideas we got from that was from selling black seed oil too. So these are things I'm sure that can work. It's just a matter of pushing in the effort. Like Hassan said, he worked in the prisons. I also volunteered at the prisons, and also with youth in the community. And we know how, especially in Harvey and Chicago, it was a lot of drugs they were involved in, there was a free zone. There was almost a free drug zone on my corner in that area, because we're Muslims. You ain't gonna do that. So they came into the house. I had them sit down and fed them some food. One of the brothers fell asleep. He was so comfortable because he finally could go someplace where he could rest and have some peace in mind, and then have a vision of what he wants to become.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the things that, as Muslims, and what we're trying to we don't have very much time left. Brother Hassan says at 83, and I just turned 80, so our clock is ticking double time. So we got to do double time in order to get some of these things completed. Okay, so that's my 2 cents.
Who was the writer that wrote what was the great line, "Miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep"? Who was that? Who was that? It wasn't Longfellow. Who was that English writer that wrote that? I can't remember.
I can't remember. I have a mantra. I want to finish well, Lord.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you want to finish strong. You do want to finish strong. I think all of us
Exactly.
have that within us, that we want to finish out this life on the highest possible note, making the best possible contribution, right? And
Right.
yeah,
We kick
this
butt
is this is
while
this
we're
is
going out.
this is exactly, yeah. It's the only way to go, right? It's
Exactly.
the only way to go. So. So I appreciate everybody's contribution today. And Sister Martha, I know you came in late. Assalamu alaikum. Give you the greeting. Thank you for joining us.
Alaikum assalam. I was praying that I did not miss any of it, some of it. And we thank Allah for. I just want to put on alert to everyone as we're enjoying the positivity of the conversation, the future that's invested in it. And so just be on the lookout for direct information. And, to all who have their uh, life work on paper, as far as the 50 year, 35 years, 800 years, whatever that is, the door is opening up through all of our collaboration, and you'll get that information, inshallah, in your email and through by way of communicating. And Michael, I did get your question too about the Muslim American Veterans Association. All of that is collectively coming together. So CWSC is striving hard to put it all together, and so that all of us can see our work. Uh, Praise be to Allah.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. I envision what I'm seeing is a culture development of collaboration, and again, protecting our interests, advancing our interests. this is what resourceful men and women do, you know. Alhamdulillah.
And I'm still going to beat the drum for us to create that directory of
Yes,
all of our, businesses, organizations with all contact information that we can spread that throughout the community from coast to coast so that people know resources in our
yeah.
community.
It'll be a
I
big
mean,
help. Big help.
everything, right? And that you know exactly where to reach out, email address, phone number, who the names of the people that are involved, that you can reach out and get an answer to you. If you're traveling, you know where you can go to eat. You know if you need to go. Man, if all you need to go is have a place to buy a kufi that you know, you're right.
That's it.
That you know
Yeah,
where you can go and do that, right?
yeah.
These
I'm
these
looking for
things are
some mud
important.
cloth.
There you go. Right. I mean, all of this, if we're really a community, and I believe that we are, all of this should be readily and available to every one of us anytime. Anytime. So let's continue to work toward that and ask our communities to contribute to the gathering of that information, along with the larger thing of a census of our community. Who are we?
Yes.
What
Yeah.
ages are we? What families do we have? Who are our youth?
Yeah. That I add to the 50 year,
Yeah.
50
So
states.
that we can plan. I mean, am I planning on having a masjid that is going to be able to hold 1,500 people on a Friday? Because 60-70% of our community is young people under the age of 17, and at some point in time, they're going to be out of school. They're going to have the propensity to want to go to the masjid and participate in the community. Are we preparing for them?
Yeah.
There's a place for them. Because really, I mean, I think next year there will be almost as many so-called Gen Zers or younger than there are people older than that.
Yeah.
So you're talking about people under 30 being 50% of the people in our community. I'm talking about African Americans, not just necessarily, Islamic, but African American community.
Yes.
50% of our population is going to be under the age of 30. We have to prepare a future for
So
them.
we need to talk to those young minds now. Whatever connection we have with them, and find a way for them to have. I know I talked to the young men in Jacksonville in the masjid, and it's only a few of them. But I tell them, look, you guys need to get together, you know, because I've seen the attempts of the older ones, men, having meetings, and it's like it's not quite a work in progress yet. But I tell them, look, for you all to carry this on, you all need to get together. You know, trying to be like a guide on the side, as Imam Abdul Alim likes to say. You know,
Hmm. Yeah,
I'm too old to be. I'm old to be
that's
out in
that's
front.
that's what you can do because I can't beat them at 3-on-3 basketball anymore. I used
Me
to
either.
I used to be able to hang a little bit.
I hear you. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My days of hanging, I'm worried about my Achilles going out on me. I can't hang like that anymore.
Hey, man, I'm worried about more than Achilles.
But yeah, I mean, we have to engage them, and we have to engage them in activities, I think, that captivate them, that leave them hungry. Let us
Yes,
know that let them know that we know where they are, right? and the
Yeah.
things that they enjoy, the things that will bring them together. And wherever they
Yeah.
are, we need to be also right in the middle of them,
Cheering them on.
cheering them on, coaching,
Yes, sir.
coaching, refereeing temperament,
Yeah.
keeping them whole, even if they're competing against each other, keeping that
You know what
competition pure.
I told
Yeah. Go ahead.
Imam Nasif up in Charlotte. I said, man, look, we do not come together to sing no more. We don't sing no more. We used to always find a corner or the stoop and do four part harmony
Yeah.
of R&B and come up with some fantastic songs, writing, singing, and just showing that camaraderie, that we had. And I don't know, maybe the youth, they maybe they don't know what to sing. I guess that's the main thing. But like Kenny Gamble and Huff in Philadelphia, I mean, they produce some of the most powerful songs. These are classics, and that's just coming together and using what you have, your voice and your mind, to write songs and to sing. And I was telling some of my students at the university, I said, "You guys don't sing no more, man. What's the problem? You don't whistle? Don't know how to whistle?" I mean, these are some very simple things, but it's very powerful in terms of camaraderie and community.
Mm-hmm.
I know the sisters could sing.
Well, there was a period of time that you may remember, probably late 80s into the 90s, when the poetry jams were a big thing in our community. And I don't know if the hip hop and rap culture that is so fierce and sometimes so militaristic has erased that, because it doesn't get the same it's not always the same emotional draw,
Yeah.
of dealing with pain and frustration. I mean, a lot of the rap, the reason it captures the imagination of a lot of our youth, especially young men, is it's an outlet for their rage that they feel that
That's
they don't
true.
have any other outlet for, right? And you just
You
walk
got
around the streets and they're just saying these things over and over again, right?
to develop
And
a different genre. That's all.
yeah, I mean, there's not the connectivity that we found in the poetry. There's not the mutual coming together and feeling of almost like a salve being put on something, that I'm going to soothe you. I'm going to release that trauma. I'm going to make you feel better by letting you know that this is a shared experience that we can get through together, right? That doesn't seem to exist as much anymore. Now it's an individual rage, and I'm going to be an individual actor and take care of this situation by myself.
Look into the leadership that the Imam gave us in so many different areas that we miss. Every time I listen to Marvin Gaye and those Afro-Cuban beats, the bongos and all, the Imam said that that's what we need to, in terms of our music, that's where we needed to go. Those Afro beats, you know, applying them to as what do they call it, the music bed, and giving lyricism to that, either spoken word lyricism or actual lyrical songs,
Mm-hmm.
So he's given us direction even in that area. But
Yeah,
we're
I
so
agree.
disconnected from what he's left us.
Right. Right.
But I mean, I know I relate when I hear when I hear bongo and that African beat, it's just different from the kinds of expression, man.
There is
It
there's a sister, and I want to say she's Cameroonian. I don't know if you guys have heard her or not. Now most of the music that she does, which I find just incredible, is from a woman's perspective. But it is, and I forget the instrument that she plays. She plays a traditional African instrument that is made from skins of animals. And it's an ancient instrument that was primarily used by the Islamic community in West Africa to create sound. Her name is Lubiana, Lubiana. I advise everybody to take a listen to her. And even though she is singing about mothers and sisters and daughters, for the most part, the message and just kind of the rhythm and the soothing nature of her music. Because I think we're all saying the same thing that Imam W.D. Muhammad said, is those traditional types of sounds overlaid with the right message. That culturally, if we're going to fight back on a cultural level with the influences out there, that we need to start to employ these particular types of methods to make inroads and start battling this vulgar stuff that's out there. Right? And do the soothing of the soul from a different perspective, from something that is creative and not destructive. Because most of what we hear now is destructive in nature. We want to be a part of the creative process. And by creative, I don't mean creating life. I'm talking about creating as Khalifa, the world in which we were given the directive to create. In other words, making this a better world for all life. And I think there's some messaging that's in the Quran that can be set to music, that if it's delivered in the right way, we can capture the audience.
I agree.
I heard something from some Arab young men that was really, they had a whole a stadium filled, and they had a tremendous presentation song wise. I'm gonna try to look it up and then send it to you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was
That would be
all in
wonderful.
Quran, on dealing with Quran.
Yeah. See that kind of thing. Now, here's the thing, obviously, with the majority of the world, because not even in the Islamic world, if you go to places like Malaysia and Indonesia and so on and so forth, they don't speak Arabic, right? I mean, they're doing things in their native tongue, and if they do business, their secondary or tertiary tongue is English. So the more of things that we can have in the English language for the majority of the world, the better off we're going to be as far as being able to do the initial capture. I'm just saying that's 80% of the world is learning English on a daily basis because that is the language in which business is done around the world. No matter where you live, most business is done in English. So we have to be aware of that and use the English language to our benefit as often as we possibly can. So that being said, it is it's 12, almost 12:45 here. So I'm not quite at where Imam Talib was, Zur coming in, but it'll be here soon enough. And for you, those of you on the East Coast, I'm it's in for
What's
you
that?
guys, is it not?
Was that Luba?
Luby, Lubiana, Lubiana.
Yeah, I just pulled her up. Yeah, I'm going to listen in.
And
It's
I
like
can't again,
my soul.
I can't remember that instrument that she plays, but it makes a beautiful sound.
Yeah, it sounds like a lute or something. It's one of the Arabic string instruments. Not Arabic, I'm sorry, African string instruments.
Yeah, because it's made from the skin, I think either goat skins or something. There's a gourd, there's like a plant that they get whatever the meat out of the plant and it makes like a large bowl.
That's right.
And then they cover that bowl in I think a goat skin or lamb skin or whatever cloth. And I don't know what they make the strings out of, but everything there is natural. So this was, I guess back in the days of Songhai and play, that time period, these were the instruments that the Africans created themselves to make music,
Mm-hmm.
along with the drums, of course. I mean, obviously drums were
Yep.
part of it as well.
Well, she's also easy on the eyes, I tell you that.
No, here come Rabbani. Y'all see him coming down the street. Y'all see him coming down the street.
He's just keeping it real. He's just keeping it real. She looks good.
I'm sorry.
No, she looks good, man.
Y'all hide you women. Here come Rabbani. He got something to say.
Hey, man, I ain't lying.
No, you ain't.
Oh boy.
I'm a witness.
Oh man. But hey, yeah. Okay. The music is also beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, hey, look, it is getting about that time. Rabbani, will you close us out this afternoon?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. O Allah, forgive us our sins, have mercy upon us. Aid the Gazan people, Iranian people, the people of Yemen, Sudan, Lebanon. Have mercy upon them. Give them victory over the disbelieving people and the oppressive people, and punish those who oppress them. Ameen.
Amen. Thank you all so much. You'll have a wonderful
Ameen.
Sunday afternoon.
Alhamdulillah. Thank Allah for you.
Thank you. We'll be back together soon. Inshallah.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.